Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at key farming post the September feature pack update to Guild Wars 2, which was famed for perhaps breaking key farming. The news is that key farming still works perfectly fine. The method of doing it is up to the player to choose, but on average if you go the fastest route it's only around 2 minutes or even less longer than it used to be to farm each key. It's just it will cost you a little bit of money now if you wish to go down that route. I'm here to explain it to you guys. To go to basics first, what even is key farming? Why do people do this? Key farming is the process of making a new character. That's why I'm on my character create screen here right now, and rushing through the first 10 levels of personal story. After you finish the first 10 levels, you get a key as a reward. The key can be used to open black line chests, which ultimately can get you black line tickets and black line weapons. There is a website online you can find in the description that tells you the current average price of a black line ticket. I've never seen it under 100 gold, and that's 100 gold now. You can get a lot more money if you get weapons from these keys and hold on to them to sell them later. Not including the tickets, which is ultimately the biggest thing you're going for while key farming. You can also have a chance at rare dies, which are now in black line chests, and permanent contracts that are even worth upwards of thousands of golds, minis, and more. All in all, basically means the average profit of each key you run is around 3 to 5 gold. This can be done in around 20 minutes, and it's one of those kind of brainless farms you can switch your brain off and do. And now is actually a little bit more interesting since there's so many options players have. Now, if that still doesn't sound very good to you, a little bit more perspective, if you wanted a key anyway, if you wanted to open black line chests anyway, the raw cost it would be to you to convert your gold into gems to buy one straight away on the gem store is around 15 to 20 gold. So it's like you can either spend 15 to 20 gold to get a key, or you can spend just a tiny amount of gold and 20 minutes and get a key. That is why this exists. Now, largely, the process of key farming hasn't changed that much after the patch. Some people have speculated that Sylvari is now a much more viable option. However, I am going to be going for human here and taking the same standard route as before. So you could pick either sex, you can pick basically warrior or guardian. Warrior is the fastest, but guardian's a bit more brain dead than what I'm used to, so I'm going to be doing guardian. And the other important decision you make, I like to go for shoulders here, but really it doesn't matter that much. The most important decision you're going to make is common folk. We'll spam to the end, create a character name, like so, and load into the starting cutscene. Now, as I say, not too much has changed, but there are a few key differences. Most notably, you now have to be level 10 before you can start doing your personal story, which at the end will award you with this key. This is why people thought it was nerfed, but it isn't. Really, key farming just isn't such a hard and fast set of rules any longer, and you can choose how long each key takes you to get versus how much money you want to spend acquiring the key. Now, even if you rush the key as fast as possible, you are still earning a profit, given that the average value of each key is anywhere between 3 and 5 gold. You'll always get a profit, but if you want more money, you can take it slightly slower. So here are your options. Option number 1 is one of the best, but it will run out very quickly. If you PvP a lot, or if you have a lot of alts who are over a year old, you can use Tomes of Knowledge and Scrolls of Knowledge to just instantly bump yourself up to level 10, and the key farming process is barely any different at all after the patch. You just immediately run off after the tutorial and go and do your level 10 personal story. But you will run out of these scrolls, and ultimately it's not reliable, so I'm going to mention it but not show it off. Option number 2 is to just play the game like normal almost. You finish the tutorial and then you run around Tyria until eventually you hit level 10. Now, the patch also did change the scaling of levels for the first few levels in the game, so they are much quicker now. A single heart will give you almost a full level, so you can be done with getting to level 10 relatively quickly. If you're quite slow, it can take you up of an hour. I have heard numbers of around just 30 minutes to get to level 10, but you're going to have to figure out how you quickest travel around the world and go from heart to heart. Your speed depends on a huge number of things, and everyone's going to have their own routes, their own events, their hearts and plans for getting to that level 10. So again, it's not a hard and fast set of rules, but you can do it that way. Another option, if you do just want to level to 10 normally, you're happy to have your key runs be slower, but it's 100% profit, is you can actually do map complete in the cities. This just involves running around, but you will get 9 levels if you map complete all of the cities, and the benefit here is that you get 6 unlocks transmutation charges every time you do it also, and so you're eventually going to be rolling around in transmutation charges, and it's that extra thing your key farmer can do. Do note as well, if you're going this option, you may as well go to the Chantry of Secrets and get that bonus stuff there too, because all you have to do is zone into the map and you're done. Now, here comes option 3, and this is the one I'm most keen on. Option number 3 is to craft to level 10. By crafting, you can hit that level 10 threshold very fast. This is how it's only about 2 minutes longer now than it used to be before the patch. This is the quickest method, it's the most repeatable method, but it will, because your crafting costs you a little bit of money. The discipline that we're going to be using is cooking. You could do a mix where you do just a little bit in lots of other disciplines, but ultimately cooking is by far the cheapest, very quick too. It's just going to cost you about, at current prices, 1.4 gold per key farm. And that can sound icky, that can sound like key farming is becoming an investment. You will still earn a profit, as I explained earlier, but people might not like that, and so this is why you can choose to level normally if you wish to. Do consider that if you're looking at it as a kind of an investment thing, which takes the fun away ultimately, that the patch also upped the drop rate on scraps. It's now somewhere just shy of 50%. So if you run 20 keys, you're incredibly likely to have a full ticket and have 100 gold straight up, in addition to all your other things. Another thing to recoup your costs is if you do material promotion, there will be a link in the description to a guide for this. Every skill point you spend, if you buy 10 Philosopher's Stones with your key farming character before deleting them, every time you do that you can earn yourself about a gold. And so if you look at it, it's 1.4 gold to craft, and you just recoup a gold of that instantly by doing the skill point promotion. Again, it just takes a little bit more time. Hidden option number 4, perhaps the most preferable option, is to do some kind of hybrid method where you level a bit in the real world and then you go to craft. And this does sound very favorable. Getting to level 10 through standard leveling can take a long time, but getting to just level 7 is incredibly fast. So if you level yourself to level 7 in the regular world and then go off and craft the last couple of levels for a total of 26 silver, not very expensive at all, then you can have reasonably quick key farms that also don't cost that much money either. Ultimately, it's up to you, and that's where the deviations have come in now. Okay, so we are in, and I'm going to start my key run now. As I explained in the previous guide, if you do have a Golem Banker because you bought that edition of Guild Wars 2, it is very useful, but now because you have to be level 10 before you can even start your personal story, you aren't necessarily required to have a bunch of level 0 gear. You can have level 10 gear now. And so a lot of your old key farming gear you can get rid of, but it is still an option to hold onto it for this tutorial instance where you are still just level 1. Personally, I don't like that it fills up so much of my bank, so all I've kept is a staff and a greatsword. Now, if you were a warrior, perhaps you'd want a sword and a warhorn here too. But the main reason I've kept these weapons are that they both have sigils on them that are incredibly powerful for the tutorial. The Bloodlust sigil allows you to just tag a couple of centaurs as you're running to the end of the tutorial instance, and it will give you a significant boost in your power, which will then let you kill the boss at the end here very, very, very quickly. And the other sigil is the sigil of speed. I would recommend this to everyone. This also means that as you tag those centaurs, you get a ton of swiftness, which will allow you to actually get to the boss very fast. One of the other notable changes since the feature pack is you unlock skills as you level now, and this means that during the tutorial all you can really do is auto attack, and so say your swiftness 3 on Guardian for staff is no longer available, so the sigils give you that utility back. For that reason I find the weapons indispensable, but the armor, it's just unnecessary clicking. So what you want to do is go to your Golem Banker, just grab these two out, and then perhaps you might want to grab some food too. Now, food isn't something I mentioned on my previous guide, but I do think it's quite important. Now that we can get to level 10, we actually have a variety of consumables we can choose from. Either plus 40 power for 30 seconds after killing an enemy, and of course whenever you're fighting you're usually cleaving trash down anyway, so you're usually going to have that plus 40 power, or just 20 power flat which means you're going to get that bonus even against certain bosses where maybe you wouldn't have killed something nearby, though those situations are rare. So the two foods are spicy meat kebabs or spicy flank steaks, but the truth is these are both excessively expensive on the trading post, and you'd be a fool to buy them on the trading post. If you just walk around Tyria on a different character before you key farm, you could buy a stack of moa haunches for a matter of copper in Holbrack, which is way cheaper than like the 20-something silver spicy flank steaks cost. Or you can buy rice balls from Divinity's Reach, which cost around the same amount. Okay, so just stack up on these. You can buy them on a different character. They are account bound, not soul bound. Throw a stack in your bank, and there you go. You've got some good key farming food. I'm going to go with the moa haunches here. And just double click one, maybe throw it back in your bank or keep it, depending on your inventory space. Another thing you could store in your bank for key farming is bags, because that would just be incredibly useful. I tend to find, because now we have to craft, my bag space can fill up if I'm not careful. So that's a consideration. And lastly, food is one thing, but also utilities, maintenance oils and things are also useful. However, at level 10, this is the quality of what you have available. It's gain a stat for 1% of toughness or vitality. So gain 1% condition damage, 1% power. It's terrible. These are really, really bad. Instead, I would recommend weak potions of outlaw slaying, which again you wouldn't maybe use before because they required level 5, but now that we're level 10, they are useful. This gives you 3% flat damage against outlaws, and pretty much all we're going to be killing after these initial centaurs are outlaws. So again, this is very useful, but you can't eat it just yet, not until you've got to level 10. I'll talk more about my bank later. That's pretty much everything. You're just going to grab your weapons out mostly, equip the staff if you're playing as a guardian, and just go ham. Just auto attack things. You'll notice they die slightly slower now that we don't have our armor on, but just from killing these first few Tamini, I've gained a bunch of bloodlust, a bunch of swiftness, and very soon you'll be one-shotting them again. You want to run towards the garrison. You can skip the inn, as I've explained before. One thing I never demonstrated to you guys is once you get to this point, if you see that that gate over there is shut, you can choose to take a right and walk along down that ramp past that fence and skip the entire garrison encounter to go straight to the boss. This will save you time. It does mean you get slightly less bloodlust by the end, so you kill the boss slightly slower, but that's largely irrelevant for the amount of time you will save not having to do this event here. Like, basically you skip because someone else is already inside. As it stands, though, we're going to do the standard thing. We're going to come here, we're going to auto-attack a few times to kill these waves of mobs, and push on out to the shaman. Another awesome option for you, if you're going to be key farming a lot and you have it available, is the Executioner's Axe. This thing is incredible. It's a costume brawl item, a toy, which when you double click gives you an ability that you can spam on a 2-second cooldown and will move you a great distance. This, combined with swiftness, can really speed up your key farms in an immense way. It's just that the item isn't particularly easy to come by. However, you guys are in luck. I'm uploading this video shortly before Halloween drops, and it's probably likely that the Executioner's Axe will become available for Halloween again. Key farming is probably the best use you can get out of that Executioner's Axe, aside from other niche things. So I would really recommend, if you've got one, try it out. Get used to swapping it on and off. And ultimately you'll have much quicker runs. Even the best like speed runs of key farms I've seen rarely include people using the Executioner's Axe, which will just save so much time in those long running sections. Anyway, so here we go. We're running up. You can see I've got my food nourishment just running out now, so you won't actually have that benefit for the boss, and you're just going to kill the boss like you normally would in any other key run. Another tip for you guys is this dude's first attack will always be a big CC. If you cannot kill the boss quick enough for that CC, standing with Logan can be useful because he'll give you stability. He'll also give you protection and regen. They're largely inconsequential, but that stability can help you just face roll, you know, just spam your auto attack until the Earth Elemental dies. Try and get in a spot where they double cleave, and voila. Okay, so here's where things really explode open. You want to skip your cutscene. You no longer have to complete any hearts. All you have to do is get to level 10. It's just that completing hearts will help you do that. There's a lot of option with what you do. You could either immediately run straight out into Queensdale and do your thing, or you could try and craft straight away. Now, for your standard player, if you're going the crafting route, which is what I want to show you, you're going to immediately hit M, and you'll notice that you already have 2 waypoints unlocked. The Salma waypoint, which is your home waypoint, and the Dwayna waypoint. It used to be you'd go straight to Salma. Instead, head to Dwayna here, because our goal is to get to crafting stations as fast as possible. From the BPAAAA waypoint, you'll find very close is a person at a stall who offers you a speed boost. You can't proc anything with your sigil of speed in here, so grab this, you'll move 25% faster, and just make a beeline straight down this alleyway here to the crafting stations, which are located here and here. And you'll find cooking is one of the ones over on the left. Quite far on the left, sadly. It would be much nicer if it would say where the jeweler was or whatever, but that's okay. It's actually one of the most remote crafting things in all of DR. And once you're here, you'll note that you actually have access to your bank. So key farming now is no longer really reliant on having that banker golem that I used at the start. All I used that for was to get weapons, which only offer a marginal speed boost. For everyone now, whether you have a decent edition of Guild Wars 2 or not, you can get to your bank and your material storage very fast. And it's here that you can withdraw and equip all of your other stuff. So now you would start to craft. I do want to show you guys another option, however, so let's go back to where we were originally stood. And this is, again, for people who have specific items, like the Executioner's Axe, like the Banker Golem, but that you will find is faster whether you're wanting to craft or not. So we would load in just outside of this house, okay? And if you happen to have the Banker Golem, and you happen to have either an airship pass or a Royal Terrace pass, you'll notice that you can use these straight away. So I have the airship pass, not the Royal Terrace. I'm going to double click this, and this will instantly put me next to a crafting station. I don't have to do that walk. I don't have to go to the BPAAAA waypoint. And as you'll note, those waypoints over there are already unlocked for me anyway. So I can come immediately to here, and what do you know? The closest crafting station on the airship is the cooking station. So I'm cooking straight away. I have a guy teach me to be a chef. Click, click, and then I'm done. I'm ready. So that's how quickly you can get to crafting now. And once you're done crafting, you can immediately just go back on your world map, come over to Divinity's Reach. If my mouse wheel scroll wasn't broken, I could probably be much more efficient. Go to the Slammer waypoint, and off you go. Another option for people who don't even want to craft, or people who want to do the hybrid approach, is right next to the Master Chef is a Helmsman. This Helmsman will take you anywhere you like in the world. This is good for doing those map completes for the transmutation charges, or simply for running around and getting a lot of hearts. The Plains of Ashford changed fairly substantially recently. 2 new hearts were added for the early game. Very quick hearts, easy to complete, and by just running here, you'll notice that the airship drops you off right next to the Plains of Ashford. You could actually, in theory, run along and complete a bunch of the new hearts here before immediately waypointing back or using your airship pass to go back and craft straight away. So these are methods you can use to move very fast around the world. You could warp straight to Lion's Arch. And get your level 10 quickly. I really recommend those airship things. Combined with the Executioner's Axe, you're going to get some serious speed going for quite cheap runs. So let's talk about crafting now. One thing you're going to get out of a lot of Black Lion chests are boosters, and boosters can now be made to be whatever you want with the enchantment powder added to the game in the first feature pack. So I would actually recommend that you pop a crafting booster. This will allow you to craft and crit more frequently than not, and means that you can get to level 10 by spending even less materials than you would at first expect. Now, the crafting itself is something I tend to loathe, but because this is kind of a repetitious thing, you will eventually get it down pat. You can see me messing up pretty significantly in the footage here, but it's as simple as looking through a list and buying a bunch of ingredients. My recommendation would be to buy more than 1 run's worth, so you don't have to stop between each run, and then you can just buy a bunch of stuff. Yeah, you lose some money at the start, but then you get to put that to the back of your head and just focus on the profits you get from there on. So the list here is going to be listed in the description, but I'll read it out loud. I literally got this from a Reddit thread and it worked perfectly for me. It's 24 bags of starch from the vendor, 24 jugs of water, 137 bags of flour, 50 pockets of salt, 99 bags of sugar, 25 pockets of baking powder, 37 cherries, and 12 lemons. That's all stuff you're going to be getting from vendors. And from the trading post, you want to buy 87 slices of butter, 25 potatoes, 25 eggs, 37 strawberries, and 12 grapes. So you just literally go through the list, buy the stuff. It is a pain. I can't stand crafting in situations like this, but once it's done, it's done. You take your key farming character here and combine these ingredients together to bump yourself to roughly level 200 cooking. The funny thing is, you're actually only trying to get 8 levels since you start at level 2, and because the scaling has changed, you actually often get to level 10, especially with crafting boosters, far before 200 cooking. Anyway, the order in which you combine this stuff together, again, is in the description at this Reddit thread. If you're at all comfortable with cooking, it will be second nature to you, and then you're pretty much level 10 straight away. This whole process may feel like it's taking a long time, and the run overall is going to be a lot longer than it used to. But the funny thing is that now you're level 10, you have all of your weapon skills for both weapons unlocked, and you will never be under-leveled for the missions you're about to undertake. So, from here on, key farming is much quicker than it used to be. You're on a flat level at all times, and you have a lot more available to you. So, now that you're level 10, pretty much all that's left to do is to actually complete the missions. However, you'll notice my character here is naked. I have cleaned his inventory out, so all you'll see I've got here is an executioner's axe, a great sword, and a ticket. Now, sadly, we are level 10, but we haven't unlocked weapon swap yet. That isn't available now after the feature pack for a few more levels. There is a trick to this, however. It is mostly a convenience thing. If you want to use both your greatsword and your staff for mobility, you're more than welcome to hold your hero panel like this and just hot swap on the fly. I main Ellie, so I'm used to this. However, if you're not that anal about getting the incredible times, a trick is to head to the heart of the mists after you've finished your crafting. By doing this, you can actually slot now something into your second weapon set and unlock weapon swapping. Now, when we return to PvE, say with the Airship's Pass, you'll see that we still have it available. This is a nice trick. Obviously, it's not necessary, but it's something I would personally be doing, just because this is about, you know, having a bit of relaxed fun and earning some money rather than constantly having to swap like I'm doing some kind of dungeon speed clear. You'll notice my toon is naked, so this is where our gear can come in. Do you remember before on the old key farms, we would have a bunch of level 0 account-bound gear that we could keep swapping around, just like the weapons I'm using right now? Well, you can now make that level 10 gear. I would certainly recommend you do. It will make stuff very easy. And this is the last stuff you can see here in my bank on the right. So you've got armor. This armor you can buy directly from the trading post. Mighty chain stuff, or if you're playing, you know, a different armor class, you'd get that. This stuff is all very cheap on the trading post. You want to slot runes into it. Also, I went with a Holbrack rune, basically anything that gives you power, a strength rune, a vampirism rune, and a pack rune. Now also, however, we can get a helmet too, which we couldn't have before. And I actually did a second pack rune here. This means you get a little bit more swiftness duration, which has great synergy with that sigil we were using at the start. Even jewelry is useful to us now. So you could still use Polar if you have this on your account, but why do that when you could instead have your garnet copper stuff? And even the new crafted back piece is very useful also. So I'm just going to spam through this stuff here. You'll notice we get no notifications that stuff is being soul-bound. And by equipping all this stuff, we've suddenly boosted our damage capabilities quite a lot and our defensive capabilities. That's pretty much anything you'll need for prep here. You're geared out, you've got everything you need. Just remember, once you have finished the key farm, to actually redeposit this stuff into your bank, and you can now feel free to waypoint to the Salma waypoint and proceed with the key farm itself. This video is mostly about the changes that took place after the patch. If you're a complete noob and you've never key farmed, there is an annotation on the screen right now you can click to find out the actual running through the story steps, but really it's as basic as it sounds. You just run through, kill stuff, talk to NPCs, and you be done as fast as you can. One further tip though that I never talked about in that video that is phenomenal, and I would really recommend people do, is to copy paste the waypoints into your chat code. So again, you'll find this in the description, and if you do this, then you always have the waypoints available down here in your chat box. So there's no manipulating the map, there's no worrying about where you need to go. You just click whenever you need, and that really can cut down on your times massively. Overall, everything after this point is mostly the same as it used to be, except now it's much easier and quicker. For example, the orphanage, which at one time before the patch used to be kind of a bit of a challenge, now is much more easy. You can run in there and complete that far quicker, and for this reason the total run times are only about 2 minutes on average higher than they used to be. That's pretty much it for key farming, guys. As soon as you get over like the crafting hurdle, you just buy a bunch of the stuff, you get used to how to do it. It really is very similar to what it used to be. Thanks very much for watching. Let me know if I missed anything. I tried to gather up as many like little things as I could find about key farming for this one, and good luck on your chests, guys. I guess I'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Keep walking.